experience week 13. Rankings, debate each position. This is it. I mean, some people's playoffs start this week, which is super weird. It should not be the case. It means 8 teams are making the playoffs in your league, and I guess unless you're playing like a 24-man league or woman league, then that would be acceptable. If not, that's just fucked. But here to break it all down, last week before the playoffs actually start, it's Jake Ciely. Jake, are you still getting people asking you about trade offers?
Yeah, I actually am, funny enough. I have some people, I can understand a keeper or a dynasty league. Like my home league is a 4-man keeper league or 4-player keeper league. So obviously our deadline's pushed a little bit further back because some people, well, like we have everybody but 2 teams are still in the playoff race. So it takes a little while for people to get booted out. But I don't understand how seasonal, like 1 year off leagues are still having a trade deadline that hasn't passed yet, because then that just opens it up to collusion. But to your point, you know, some people play in the week 2 playoffs, so it's like 13 and 14 and then 15 and 16.
That would make more sense. As long as you get rid of week 17, I'm down with that. But, like, yeah, these redraft trade offers, I'm like, that seems like in our league, we do 4 keepers plus a redshirt keeper. It's a guy that you draft that you just don't play all season. There's an extra bench spot that we have for it. But like, I think our trade deadline is like week 11. Like, we try to make sure that you can't make trades later in the season. Like, you have to commit at some point. You're either all in or you're all out and building for next year. But you got to make that decision relatively early.
Yeah, I don't mind it so much. Like, all the seasonal leagues I'm in ended at Thanksgiving, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. My home league with the keepers, we end the week after Thanksgiving, so we actually end tomorrow midnight.
That's too late. The playoffs start next week.
Yeah, they do start next week, but at the same time, like I said, with this many teams still in it, I like more trading, so the possibility of more trades, I don't mind if somebody's like, I just want to try and make it that one more week, and then it's like, all right, now I'll look for the future.
All right, let's get into the rankings for Week 13. We got some injuries to deal with, some guys that are potentially coming back, especially at the running back position. So I'll go 1 to 10 very quickly for you. Le'Veon Bell, no shocker. Number 1, didn't score a touchdown on, what did he play? Sunday night. Still absolutely dominated because that's what he does. On pace for the 3rd most touches of any player all time. When you get that kind of volume, especially through the receiving game, you got to be number 1 every single week. Doesn't matter. Number 2 is Todd Gurley. Then we drop down to Alvin Kamara, Leonard Fournette, LaShawn McCoy, Melvin Gordon. You have ranked Satan himself, Mark Ingram, number 7, Samaje P. Henson, Samaje P. Ryan, number 8, Carlos Hyde, and then Christian McCaffrey. The guys that I'm dealing with right now that are in the rankings, I have Devonta Freeman as if he is going to play, so he's in. Obviously, the Tevin Coleman rank would change if Devonta Freeman sits out again, and I have Mike Davis actually playing right now because Pete Carroll said he was, although Pete Carroll says a lot of things that probably aren't true. Who knows if this one is or not, but for the moment, I have him ranked in the rankings, and that's ahead of Eddie Lacy. I like him better than all Seahawks running backs besides J.D. McKissick this week in PPR, but if you watch the Waiver Wire show, you'll get my full take on Mike Davis, or you can check out my Waiver Wire column up on DKPlaybook.com for that whole spin and why I do like him for the fantasy playoffs. Not so much this week, though. Guys that I have out of the rankings, Damian Williams, more than likely not going to play. Ty Montgomery, I have him out right now. I'd say he's less than 50%, but he could play. Dwayne Washington, no one cares. Mike Tolbert, no one cares. Doug Martin, I have with a concussion not playing. And the big one I want to start with, sleeper-wise, and we usually start with the top 10. I know I already read it out, but Kerwin Williams cracked his ribs on Sunday. And then after that point, DJ Foster came in and played 25% of the Cardinals snaps. Now, the Cardinals were either tied or winning in much of that game against Jacksonville. And I know that it's hard to throw to the outside, so throwing to a running back is a much easier proposition. But as we've kind of stated the past few weeks, that if the Cardinals are underdogs in a game, it's not super wise to play Adrian Peterson because he has yet to do anything in a game where the Cardinals have been underdogs. And this week at the Rams, they're underdogs. So that former Andre Ellington role, which, you know, after he got cut, Kerwin Williams took, but it looks like he's going to be out with rib problems. DJ Foster, if you play in a deep league or are just done at running back and have nothing, for PPR purposes, he could play 40 to 50% of the snaps this week and could potentially get like 4 to 7 catches if they're playing catch up the entire game. And I might have to start him in a few leagues, which is kind of crazy.
Hey, thumbs up emoji. I'm there with you. I wrote about him in the waiver column. I'm not sure you probably did as well, but the fact is, I'm with you for that fact. And looking at this matchup, to your point about throwing outside, the Rams secondary is not a good matchup for the passing game. So what do you expect? As you said, they're going to probably be down. They're probably going to be playing from behind. Everything along with Adrian Peterson is why you start looking, all right, oh, who are the other options here? Well, if there is no Kerwin Williams and DJ Foster, this is also with the trade of Ellington. As soon as that happened, there was reports. Part of the reason they did it was to get a look at DJ Foster for next year. So I'm with you. I love this call. I don't want to start him, but if you are in a desperation PPR situation and you've been dealing with running back problems and now you just lost a Damian Williams who had been filling in for you or something like that, it's definitely, when you said I have somebody for you and I guessed it was Wayne Gallman, I like him a lot more than Wayne Gallman.
All right, so I don't really have a ranking on DJ Foster right now. He's in the rankings, but I actually wanted to talk to you first before making a finalized ranking. Would you play DJ Foster in a PPR or Jay?
I would play Jay, unfortunately.
I think I would play DJ Foster.
It's put it this way, it's in a conversation. I had to think about it for a second. And I was one of the people that was the most down on Jay last week, and I still he's been so productive on the touches that he's getting, and I know
he had six. He had six touches. DJ Foster might have more catches than that.
Maybe. At least with Ajayi, I know he's getting between 6 and 10.
Against Seattle, that might not be good enough. The run defense is still good.
I don't disagree with you. I said, look, that's a very good conversation to have. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong to say DJ Foster.
All right, would you go DJ Foster or Jonathan Stewart?
Ooh, PPR.
Because Jonathan Stewart is still far more apt to score a touchdown.
And that's where I'm looking at this week, and the fact that they're going to be pushing on both sides of the ball, trying to keep the score up. I lean to Jonathan Stewart a little bit more, but actually in a PPR, I would say Foster's safer, because if Stewart doesn't get the touchdown, you don't want him. That's
true. Would you go with someone like Amir Abdullah or DJ Foster?
And even in a PPR, I'd still go Abdullah, unless I needed the higher ceiling. Abdullah's been good, actually.
All right, last guy, DJ Foster or CJ Anderson?
DJ Foster. I'm done with CJ Anderson. You know that. I've been saying Devontae Booker for the past couple of weeks, and he continues to outproduce CJ Anderson. So I know this is complete committee back there, but even if it's not, it looks like they would turn to Devontae Booker and not CJ Anderson. So for that case, give me the DJ, not the CJ.
How many times have you gotten together and dated CJ Anderson, broke up?
Only like 3 or 4.
All right, actually, I will throw one more. Would you go Alfred Morris or DJ Foster?
Ooh, DJ Foster. Last week was... Look, I have no explanation for what the Cowboys did. They were down the week before by a hell of a lot. You know this, to the Falcons, and they just rode Alfred Morris. Look at Rod Smith. Didn't have one target in that game. And then all of a sudden last week, they decided to go 50-50 and even use Rod Smith at the goal line. I have no idea what they're doing. All
right, so what I'm going to do is move DJ Foster in my rankings into number 43. That is one spot behind Rod Smith, one spot ahead of Alfred Morris. That's where he's going to land.
I was looking at some initial rankings, and in that range, I had like Jaquiz Rodgers and Tariq Cohen. I was like, I'd play him over Cohen, but probably play Rodgers over him.
And I actually have that bared out the same way. I would not play Tariq Cohen at this point. Like,
no,
Benny Cunningham's playing more snaps than he is, and they do the exact same thing. So that sucks. I would play Jaquiz Rodgers before him if... Like, the way that I would describe DJ Foster in this matchup is that he's a rich man's Charles Sims.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good comparison.
Right, which is not...
he's got less competition for touches.
Yeah, I mean, this is not an optimal play playing DJ Foster. Hopefully, you have better options. But like I was telling you before I came on air, I've been starting Amir Abdullah and Damian Williams as my 2 running backs in, like, my main league for the past 5 weeks. And now there's no Damian Williams. I need someone. It's so sad.
Like you said, I said the Damian Williams one, so there you go. It's not the worst. Every time we say DJ Foster, I think of DJ Tanner.
Oh, God, you didn't watch Fuller House, did you?
Oh, no. Hell no. I never watched the new one. I watched the old one. I did watch Full House a lot growing up.
Oh, did it mold your values?
Yeah, that along with, what is it, Family Matters. It was that whole Friday night lineup and all the rest of them.
Oh, TGI.
Step by Step.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the TGI Friday lineups. Family Matters, Boy Meets World, Full House, Step by Step. I feel like Sister Sister came in there at some point.
And then Boy Meets World was in there, right?
Yeah. God,
good times.
Like, in retrospect, those are all like terrible shows.
I mean, if you've ever seen them on replay, they're god awful.
Oh, I'm sure they're the beacon of like 1992 culture. How could they be good?
That's why I love. Have you ever watched BoJack Horseman?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's terrific. I love it.
All right, let's go to the top 10 once again, reset. Is there anyone inside, like, do you think P. Ryan is too high at number 8? I just look at his workload. I look at this matchup, which is really good, and be like, hey, yo, if P. Ryan's getting 25 touches against Dallas, that's going to be top 10 worthy.
No, I don't have a problem with it. I would put him only 2 spots lower behind Hyde and McCaffrey because Hyde's targets over the last couple of games have gone through the roof. So I would put him behind those 2, but that's not a big move. Like, I'm not going to sit. And if you don't want to move him, I'm not going to sit here and, like, try and convince you to do it. Just for me, I would put Hyde and McCaffrey in PPR especially, and then P. Ryan, but he deserves to be top 10.
Oh, and to clarify on that DJ Foster point, if somehow Kerwin Williams plays, don't play him.
Oh, what, you mean to tell me what we're doing right now on Tuesday afternoon isn't going to hold true all the way through Sunday?
Hey, listen, we can't change the video after it comes out. I just want to cover all bases here.
Yeah, no kidding. I love how people do that.
So the 11 to 20 range, Howard, Kareem Hunt, Joe Mixon, Jamal Williams, and that's assuming that there's no Ty Montgomery, and then Kenyon Drake. And then Lamar Miller at number 16. I feel like that is the end of, like, the volume guys. Like, the only other sort of volume guy after that is Adrian Peterson. But, again, if I like Foster, because I think they're going to be losing, I really can't. Like, I don't like ranking Adrian Peterson at number 19, but he's going to get 15 touches, and I can't really guarantee that about many people behind him.
No, you can't. And there's one that I would probably play over him. The one out of this entire group, I can't put Kareem Hunt that high anymore. I'd actually play Lamar Miller before I played Kareem Hunt.
I mean, he got a bit banged up on the Monday Nighter, but then he came back. They still used Alfred Blue a lot, which it was not encouraging.
No. I actually think it is because it's the same thing. Like, so, all right, if we go all the way back to you and I did a show together, and we're talking about preseason rankings, all that type of stuff, and we discussed Deonta Foreman, and I said I was concerned that that's going to create a 50-50 split because he's a power back, and you don't want Lamar Miller touching the ball 20-plus times, as we saw last year. He just fails anytime you give him. And actually, if you go look at his game log, anytime he starts carrying the ball around 20 times, his average per carry drops down to like 2.8 and 2.4, and it's just miserable. But if you keep him in that sweet spot, which is that kind of 14 and 19 range, he just excels. And so that's why I don't have a problem with Alfred Blue. I want Lamar Miller to stay there. I don't want him to get those 25 touches. So, yeah, my only concern is, as you said, is if he got injured. But as you said, he came back in the game. So with Kareem Hunt's doing, like, he's still startable, but you can find him on your bench if you have better options. And you might have picked up a P. Ryan. You might have Lamar Miller. But, yeah, at this point, I would start a healthy Lamar Miller over Kareem Hunt. I can't do it anymore.
What do we do with Kareem Hunt then? I mean, it's not like the volume has gone way down, obviously, but he still had 12 touches last week, and he should be in line for more if they have any sense whatsoever. Obviously, this matchup is tougher. He really should have killed Buffalo and didn't. That's really concerning, but like, I don't even know really what's wrong with him. Like, I know he was making that one big run for, like, each of the first 4 games, and then when that stopped, everything kind of went by the wayside in terms of his fantasy production. But, like, I'm bringing up, like, DJ Foster as a guy that you might need to play if, like, you're hurting that badly. I mean, are you really benching Kareem Hunt?
I think only if you have 3 options inside the top 50. Maybe if you're PPR, as we're discussing, you play 2 guys in the top 15 and then go 4 wide receivers and you just bench Kareem Hunt. I don't want to, but at this point, he is benchable. He's not bench don't start him at this point, but he's in the conversation now. The only thing, you asked what we can do, there's nothing we can do. We could kidnap Andy Reid and maybe force the hand that way, but there's nothing else we can do here because this shovel pass nonsense and this 12 carries, like, I don't understand what the hell has gotten in Andy Reid's head. It started with that Pittsburgh game, and every game after that is kind of, I don't know if he's overthinking himself. Part of it's Alex Smith. Part of it's the offensive line. I just think everything is going wrong. Maybe it clicks and gets back on track this week, which I'm praying for because I have Kareem Hunt in about 90% of my teams because I drafted him before most everybody wanted to draft him. But what we can do? We can't force the issue. We can complain all we want, but there's nothing we can do.
I'm not going to lie to you, Jake. I think it would take more than you and I to kidnap Andy Reid. We need some sort of strong man among that bunch.
He's probably like He's like a walrus call, and they would come out into the seas and start helping him.
Well, maybe we can just kind of soap him down and like roll him or glide him along the grass or something like that. But okay, so let's play. Let's go Kareem Hunt. You would go Lamar Miller.
Yes.
Dion Lewis or Kareem Hunt.
That's the one I was looking at, and I was thinking long and hard about that because I can't stand Patriots running backs, but the usage has been – it's Buffalo. The usage has been there. I'd actually probably go Dion Lewis.
Dion Lewis looks really good, by the way. Yeah, I think
He's always looked good. He's always looked like the best running back there.
DeMarco Murray or Kareem Hunt?
That's where I got to go Kareem Hunt. DeMarco Murray can go 1 week of 6 carries, the next week of 26. He's one of those guys that you have to start if you have him, but you know what's going to happen any given week. Like, look, he vultured Derrick Henry last week. If he doesn't vulture him, it's a miserable day and everybody's pissed off again.
Yeah, but he's still the one getting that. I mean, he's still the one breaching the goal line. And he's piling up enough catches to establish a PPR floor, which I don't mind. But it doesn't seem like that big game potential is just there with him. I think I'm with you then. I'll drop Hunt down below Lewis and put him ahead of DeMarco Murray.
Yeah, that's fair.
You sold me. All right, so the rest of the top 11 to 15, Adrian Peterson, Alex Collins. I mean, that's just a three-way timeshare right now. I know Alex Collins is doing all the dirty work, and he's the one who should be getting all the goal line touches, but then they bring in Buck Allen from, like, the 6. He's like, why is Buck Allen even playing?
I have no clue.
It's pissing me off.
Danny Woodhead comes back the week before. First game back, leads the team in targets and receptions, and then they pull this nonsense with Buck Allen. I have no answer for that. This is another one. Because we can sit here and analyze as much as we can, but then you have the coaches go out there and we just do whatever the hell they want sometimes.
All right, so the 21 to 30 range, I have Devonta Freeman at number 21. I have Tevin Coleman at number 22. What do you think if Devonta Freeman returns? Now, obviously, if he's not there, Tevin Coleman vaults up to, like, he's a top 12 play for sure, just based on his volume, how good he's looked, and the goal line work that he's going to get. Although the receptions have not materialized, which I find kind of strange. But if Devonta Freeman plays, I would expect him to still be the number 1 back. And I say number 1 like he's a 60-40 type guy, 65-35, 55-45, but I do think that he will end up with more touches than Tevin Coleman.
And I agree with you, and part of the reason is what you just said about Tevin Coleman. The catches haven't been there for Tevin Coleman, which is very strange, but another one, we can sit here and say, hey, he's got the talent to do it, but it's not happening. It's just not happening. There's not much we can do. So I'm with you. If I have to choose between the two, especially in the PPR, Freeman's active, it's going to be Freeman over Tevin Coleman, but the guy right after them is the one that I would actually rank higher that I was talking about before.
You would move up Jerick McKinnon in this spot.
I would. I love this matchup for him. I know that you're looking at somebody who's been kind of cannibalized by his teammate Latavius Murray, but it is the Falcons, and the Falcons that continue to do what they did last year and struggle to stop the pass-catching running backs, and they're going to force the score now that Matt Ryan and this offense is starting to get together under Sarkisian's offense. Is starting to click finally, especially over the last 6 games. So I like McKinnon as an RB2 this week, and I feel more confident. Put it this way, if you get a split backfield with Freeman and Coleman, I'd still go Freeman, but I would go McKinnon over Coleman, and I actually would go McKinnon over Collins, too, because of his PPR.
So what you're saying is that I should move... Collins keeps getting a few catches, though. It's weird. Like, it didn't happen.
It is, but I don't like that all 3 of them are involved now.
No, I do kind of like him against that. After watching Latavius Murray and Jerick just run the ball down the throats of the Lions last week, like, I kind of like Alex Collins in this spot.
That is certainly possible, and I don't. Again, this whole collection here it's a headache. There's no other way to put it.
All right, I will take your advice and move Jerick up 1 spot ahead of Coleman.
It is that time of year to go to Jerick.
Yeah, he went to Jerick. After that, Rex Burkhead, Marshawn Lynch, Latavius Murray, Duke Johnson, Orleans Darkwa. I still think that Darkwa probably ends up with more touches in that backfield, and it's against Oakland, but who the hell knows. Isaiah Crowell, Danny Woodhead, then it goes into like Booker, J.D. McKissick, Forte, Riddick. You're hurting at this point, basically, if you're playing any of these guys, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I actually wasn't kidding when I said the Gallman factors, because he had better yardage on less touches last week, and maybe this team starts to say, hey, we drafted this kid. Well, let's see what we could potentially have for next year. Do we need to jump into the draft, get a running back, go sign Mark Ingram or something like that? Or I don't know. Mark Ingram's still got another year or two. Or maybe, I don't know who they would go after. And in any case, point being, they might see what they have in Wayne Gallman. And if he's going to outproduce Darkwa on the touch basis, maybe he starts to deserve more. I think Darkwa's just volatile, in my opinion, too. Because you know this as well. We've talked about it in the past. You brought this point up. If they start to fall behind, Darkwa starts to see less and less time on the field.
That's true, although I don't know if the Raiders jump out to anything. The Raiders are terrible. The Giants are terrible. Oh, man. Like, this game's so sad.
It's very sad, especially now that there's no Crabtree. I mean, just for entertainment purposes, we have to hope Shepard and Cooper are out there.
That's true. Let's move to wide receivers. And let's talk about that Oakland receiving situation. So Michael Crabtree suspended 2 games. So is Talib. I bet you they get it knocked down to 1, but not going to be playing Sunday against the Giants. Amari Cooper in concussion protocol right now. I do not have him listed in my rankings until he passes that, because I don't necessarily think he's going to play. He's also dealing with an ankle injury too, which kind of got underreported in that whole deal. So now we have Jared Cook, who's in worst place, because anytime he's in a great spot, never works out. So, man, maybe you want to play Jared Cook, go nuts. Not for me. The other 2 guys, though, Seth Roberts and Cordero Patterson, look like they're going to take a huge bump in market share. Let's say that both of the guys sit. Which one do you like more, Seth Roberts or Cordero Patterson? I like Seth Roberts more.
So do I. The only intriguing part of it that I have for Cordero Patterson is if they keep using him in the return game, even when he's one of the 1 and 2, because then you have that potential that he could take one to the house, especially against the Giants team that, seems to, and somebody goes down and gets hurt or gives up every single week. So that potentially could happen. But if you look at the usage, if you look at the pass, it's Seth Roberts. He's got touchdowns when we've all been like, oh my God, why didn't it go to Amari Cooper? Why didn't he go to Michael Crabtree? Seth freaking Roberts, and just like the rest of Seth freaking Rollins, shows up and gets a touchdown. So that's why I'm with you. I like Roberts more, but I think Patterson has some intrigue if they continue to use him in the kick game, return game.
I just think that, it kind of makes sense. You have Patterson in the return game because he's a big play guy, and given those extra opportunities against a Giants secondary that's pretty beat up, to be perfect, like Jenkins isn't going to play, is he?
No, they're talking about him having surgery.
Yeah, so their secondary is somewhat decimated right now. You have a big play guy. Like, I like Seth Roberts more because I think if they get into the red zone, that's who they're going to throw to. Like you mentioned, they've done that in the past. If it's like one big play that happens, it's probably going to be Patterson. But I just think that the floor is so much safer with Seth Roberts.
Then that's the exact way I'm playing it too. And he's got, I think, better touchdown potential.
Which means that Johnny Holton's going to end up with a touchdown.
Of course.
Or some guy on the Raiders we've never heard of, because the Raiders love creating Insta-Raiders who are just like, oh, God, that guy? Who the hell is that guy?
It's 100% true, but I could definitely see the Holton one, like 90 yards and 2 scores for Johnny Holton.
Yeah, that's going to be the move. I would prefer Seth Roberts. I have him ranked at number 36 in the rankings. I have Cordero Patterson ranked at number 41. I think both are viable options if Cooper and Crabtree sit. Now, let's say Cooper plays. Who would be the play then? Do you think that Cordero Patterson sees 50% of snaps? Because I think that's right around the number.
I still think it's Seth Roberts. Seth Roberts is their number 3 all the time.
I would think that Seth Roberts would play 100% of snaps if Amari Cooper plays, but it would decrease the value of Patterson to a point where I don't know if I would play him or not then.
No, I don't think I would either. If Cooper's out there, Seth Roberts would be the only other one I would consider. I wouldn't screw around with Cordero Patterson. Who thought come week 13 of this season we'd be talking about Cordero friggin' Patterson?
And one note on Cordero Patterson, he is exceptionally under-cursed this week, so that's something to keep in mind, that he's probably now going to score like -3 points somehow. So guys that I have in the rankings as of now, I do have Sterling Shepard playing. I have Will Fuller playing, Alan Hearns playing, Rashard Matthews, and Juju Smith-Schuster. No guarantees on any of those guys, and that will affect the rankings later in the week should they not play. Guys I do not have in: Marcus Wheaton, Kelvin Benjamin, Chris Hogan, Robert Woods, Sammy Coates, Amari Cooper, Michael Crabtree, and John Brown, and Mike Williams. Jeremy Curley, obviously not in either. But I guess the big story of the week is Josh Gordon coming back. Where do you think you're going to rank Josh Gordon this week? Because I ranked him at number 52.
That sounds fair. I was going to say low-end wide receiver 4, just because of the upside, and that's kind of that range. But you tell me to get into your playoffs that you're going to trust somebody who hasn't played since 2014, and stop with this preseason nonsense. It's preseason. Let's talk to the Terrell Pryor owners how they feel about the preseason now. We see this every single year, all the time. He hasn't played a regular season game, and he also hasn't played a regular season game with any quarterback on this roster, no matter who's there, whether it's Kaiser, he gets hurt, and then bring in Kess. It doesn't matter. He hasn't played a game with these guys. So stop with that talk, and all of a sudden the Josh Gordon is like, oh, he's going to be so great again, because also the last time he played regular season games, he wasn't doing that good at that time. So it's actually another year past that when we actually saw the Josh Gordon people want him to be. He has a tremendous ceiling, but I can't start him over anybody I trust in my lineup. So that's why I would say, that's where you have him. I might have him a little bit higher, maybe a little bit lower, but that low-end wide receiver 4, high-end wide receiver 5 is the range he needs to be in.
Do you know what no one is talking about with Josh Gordon this week? That he's a terrible matchup.
That's true. That's the other part of it.
Like, the Chargers defense has just started to become lights out. Now,
Hayward is terrific.
And do you think that he goes on Gordon or Coleman?
Oh, he's going to go on Gordon because Coleman's going to spend a lot of time in the slot, and Hayward doesn't do that a lot.
I would absolutely agree with you. I have Corey Coleman ranked at number 28. I actually think like he's a much better start than Josh Gordon this week.
If anything, I think that the fact that Josh Gordon's out there helps Corey Coleman because now you don't have to worry about him getting double coverage as much as he would have.
All right, so here's another guy that's going to be a contentious play this week because without Robert Woods around, Sammy Woods. Without Robert Woods around, Sammy Watkins started to look.
That guy would be awesome.
Sammy Woods, yeah. He'd have the consistency and upside. He'd be great. But I have Sammy Watkins ranked at number 54. Not a chance I'm playing Sammy Watkins against Patrick Peterson. It's just not happening.
Oh, there's no way in hell he's touching my roster. And this is going to be one of those ones, though, where, like, watch it be like the Marvin Jones versus Xavier Rhodes, and all of a sudden he beats him for 2 touchdowns.
Hey, listen, sometimes it happens. But it's one of these things where how do I want to put this? It's like when you're playing blackjack, for example. And let's say you play $25 a hand, $25 a hand, $25 a hand, and then all of a sudden you just bet $300 on one hand. What do you do in that? You should have some sort of consistency to what you're doing. Now, if you want to progressively bet, hey, I've won 2 hands in a row, I'll up it to 35. Hey, I've won 7 of the last 8 hands, I'll move it up to 50. That sort of thing. Progressively move up. Don't just go all over the place. And that's what it feels like you'd be doing in this spot. Like, if I was willing to rank DeAndre Hopkins foolishly at number 29 2 weeks ago up against Patrick Peterson, shows I'm terrified of him. But as it turns out that the only guy who's beat Patrick Peterson all season long has been DeAndre Hopkins because he beats everybody. Sammy Watkins sucks anyway on a week-to-week basis, and now he has a terrible matchup.
Right. And what the thing is, too, is like, so Marvin Jones is in between that. Marvin Jones is not DeAndre Hopkins, and it's to you draw your comparison. It'd be kind of like, hey, I'm going to sit on 19 and sit on 19 and sit on 19. Look, one of those times a 2 would have came out. That doesn't make it the right call to say that you should have hit.
Yeah, exactly. And the other guy that I'm doing that with this week, big drop in the rankings for T.Y. Hilton. He goes from number 2 down to number 49. And we discussed it last week where you kind of accused me of being a bit too bullish on T.Y. Hilton, and you were correct. But it was my point that either he's going to have the first, second, or third best receiving game of the week, or one of the worst, and he had one of the worst. So
I think you said 2 or 50 was what you said.
Yeah, so I ranked him at number 49 this week because I just don't see it for him against Jacksonville.
No, of course not. I mean, even look, what they just did to Larry Fitzgerald, which that was a surprise. I was surprised Ramsey dropped into the slot as much as he did against Larry Fitzgerald. But now you have to look at this team and just say, good God, if you're the number 1, you're in trouble. And
it plays into the narrative about T.Y. Hilton not faring well outdoors all that often, too.
Yep. Yeah, he's definitely got that whole Brandon Cooks on the turf situation going on that nobody seems to want to talk about until this year. And then even just this year, they still don't pay that much attention to it.
What, the Brandon Cooks thing?
No, that's the same thing. The fact that before he was with the Patriots, he had that turf split on the road and on grass versus home and on turf, and even on the road and on turf. And that's what T.Y. Hilton's doing now. And people just, to your point, it's the same thing.
Well, Brandon Cooks could still be doing it because the Patriots field is turf now.
Oh yeah, that's right. They have the field turf now.
Yeah, I was on it like 4 weeks ago. I for whatever reason, I still in my mind thought it was grass until I stepped on it. I was like, oh. Yeah, not grass. Not at all. This is much easier to maintain. But yeah, so T.Y. Hilton, listen, I would have more confidence in T.Y. Hilton posting one of his 200-yard games this week out of nowhere than Sammy Watkins doing anything.
If you're going to give me the choice between the two, yeah, absolutely.
So I'm starting Josh Reynolds over Sammy Watkins. I have Josh Reynolds at number 43. It was very clear last week that he is the one subbing in for Robert Woods. He's the one who caught the touchdown. And frankly, like, the wide receiver 2s and 3s continue to just eviscerate Arizona.
It's very true. And the thing I talked about in the waiver column about Josh Reynolds is the fact that at worst case scenario, when I wrote him out in the draft profile, I said he could turn into a Mike Wallace. And that was worst case. He's definitely got more ability than that. The question I had was putting some muscle in that body because he's very lean. But he's somebody that has the big play opportunity. And they talked about it before the game. They said, we want to get something out of it. Let's see what we have. Let's get him more involved. And they 100% did that. They said they were going to do it, and they did it. And then you have, that, like you just said, this situation this week. If we still have no Robert Woods, Sammy Watkins is basically going to be taken out of this game. You're down to Cooper Kupp and Josh Reynolds. So Josh Reynolds becomes a very intriguing play. I would definitely, I agree with you. I would definitely play him over Sammy Watkins.
Well, where are we going to land on Cooper Kupp? I have him at 18 right now. Should he be higher?
Well, let me see. So you got Fitzgerald, Shepard. No, I would keep him there. That's a good spot.
All right, 1 to 10 goes Antonio Brown, then DeAndre Hopkins, Adam Thielen, Julio Jones, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, AJ Green, Doug Baldwin, Brandon Cooks, and Devontae Adams. You got any issues there?
None.
Okay. Then 11 to 20, Michael Thomas, Robbie Andacust, Tyreek Hill, Jarvis Landry, Alshon Jeffrey, Sterling Shepard, Larry Fitzgerald, Cooper Kupp, Devin Funches, and Demaryius Thomas. Have you heard anything about Marshawn Lattimore? Because the last thing I heard about him was that he was in a walking boot. That's not good.
That was the last, same thing I heard, is that he was in a walking boot before last week's game, and that was on like Thursday or Friday. So I don't know how positive you can feel about him playing this week. And if he's out, Devin Funches is a great spot there. If this is simple, at this point, I think everybody realized what Lattimore brings to the field. He's kind of starting to get into that, creep into the conversation of Patrick Peterson and Ramsey, despite the fact he's only a rookie. So obviously, I mean, what do you drop Funches to? I'm looking at the Lions wide receivers level if he's actually playing.
Yeah, where do I have Marv? I have Marv at number 26 because I have Rashard Matthews in the rankings. I have him at number 25. I have Doxson pretty high at number 24. I just like all the Redskins against Dallas this week. Maybe is that too high for Doxson, do you think?
No, Doxson saved his day in a bad matchup, and because everybody was just talking about that game, just dismissing the fact that Jenkins, outside of what everybody wants to complain about that one game where it looks like he gave up on that touchdown, and whether or not people want to argue that he did or whatever, he's still been a top 10 corner for the most of the season. So the fact that he overcame that and got that touchdown, I think we're seeing the talent of Doxson finally starting to show through.
Well, I guess the thing with Funches, even if Lattimore plays, like if you look at it last week, who was the only Carolina receiver with a catch? Devin Funches. Like, it's the only guy they throw to.
That's true, but if he's only catching 3 out of 10.
Yeah, but I can actually see him, man, in this game, especially if Greg Olsen is like, only playing 30% of the time anyway, even if Lattimore's on him, he might get 15 targets.
That's fair. I just would say, like, I mean, Rashard Matthews, a healthy Rashard Matthews, I just think he deserves to be in that conversation. Maybe behind Stephon Diggs, maybe a little bit higher.
All right, well, I want to get to Diggs in a second because he's one of the guys I had highlighted. There is another guy, and listen, I only know him from watching the game last week because I watch an obsessive amount of that Carolina and Jets game because I had a ton of Devin Funches and a ton of Robbie Anderson, which really worked out, but I was just really paying attention to that game over and over. And they kept trying to get, I'm going to fuck up this first name here, Kalen Clay? Is that his name?
Kalen Clay, yeah.
Yeah, they kept trying to get him the ball, and he ended up returning one of the kicks to the house for a touchdown. That was pretty awesome, but like on these weird bubble screens, on like jet sweeps, like they were just trying to get the ball into his hands over and over. I just kept like looking at me like, who the hell is number 12 on Carolina? Like for a minute I thought it was Samuel. I was like, Samuel's out for the year. It's not him. Who is it? And it's this guy. I'm not saying play him, but he's someone to kind of keep an eye on because he looks like he's a bit tricky.
Yeah, it's some dude that they decided to fight. Like, that's the thing, though. The whole reason they got rid of Kelvin Benjamin was to open up the offense. And ever since they did, the offense has been better. And it started with Curtis Samuel, as you said, out for the season. But they're looking for those type of options. They're looking for somebody to bring a little bit more dynamic offensive ability. And because Devin Funches he's a slow, plodding wide receiver.
I'll say this, though. If Marshawn Lattimore doesn't play, I would move. This is kind of the hedge right now. Like, hey, maybe he might play, maybe he doesn't play. I would move him up. Geez, probably to like close to number 10.
Over Tyreek Hill?
I'd play him over Tyreek Hill, yeah.
Yeah. Would you play him over Robbie? I don't know if I could play him over Robbie at this point.
It's tough. I think I might. Like every week, the targets are there for Funches. I know Robbie Anderson's on this touchdown streak right now, but I kind of believe in the floor plus upside because it's not like Devin Funches has no upside. I mean, the guy's their red zone threat right now unless Cam runs it in. Robbie Anderson scoring these long touchdowns. Like eventually that has to stop.
I actually think that, yeah, that's a good spot between Michael Thomas and Robbie Anderson.
Yeah, poor Michael Thomas. He finally had a legit bad game.
Finally.
Yeah, it's not like he kept having wide receiver number 17 weeks over and over and over again, and he finally had one that was lower than that.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that for last week because I had a lineup with Hunt, Jordan Howard, Michael Thomas, Demaryius Thomas, and Amari Cooper. It was a terrible week.
So you just gave your money away.
Pretty. Oh no, that wasn't DFS. At least that was seasonal.
Okay, that's a bit more. Because I wouldn't score 30 points.
60.
It's better than
my
some
leading scorer was the Jacksonville Jaguars defense.
Hey, that's a good D. It's still the number 1 D this week when we get to it. Diggs is someone I did want to talk about though. Like, he hasn't been good in a while. Like, it's been a while since Diggs had, like, a legit game.
But it's a good matchup. Because
Sure.
he's avoiding Trufant.
Yeah, well, Trufant's probably not even going to play.
Oh, he's out. Oh, I didn't know that he was potentially out, too.
Yeah,
I missed that.
He has a concussion. He just, listen, when you're dealing with Trufant this week, Jake, you know what people need to tell you?
What's that?
To tell the truth. He has a concussion.
All right. All right. You know what? That's actually good for Adam Thielen, though, because our friend of ours, Mike Clay, he tweeted this out earlier the week and said that the Vikings are starting to roll out Jarius Wright a lot more, and they're trying to get him on the field and more involved. But the problem that he was concerned about, which is a good point, is doing so. Jarius Wright, only the slot. That's it. The end. And that means Adam Thielen gets pushed back outside where obviously he doesn't play as well. That's been a genius move by them this year to put him in the slot. And then two, he's going to draw coverage like Trufant if he's healthy, or Patrick Peterson's and those type of the world. So no Trufant definitely makes me feel better about Adam Thielen as well.
All right, I'm going to give you 4 game logs here, and I want you to tell me which player this is, all right? Last 4 games against this team that he's playing this week. 15 targets, 11 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown. 4 targets, 3 catches, 105 yards, and a touchdown. 4 targets, 2 catches, 47 yards, and a touchdown. 8 targets, 5 catches, 101 yards, no touchdowns. Do you know what player that is?
No, Jarvis Landry.
It's Allen Hurns against Indianapolis.
Wow.
He just has the Colts number. Now, no guarantee he returns from his ankle injury this week, but if he does, I'm worried that D.D. Westbrook has passed him on the depth chart, or maybe they just both play them outside and they move Keelan Cole back to the bench. That could definitely be a thing. But would you rather play Westbrook or Hurns if Hurns plays?
Hurns. Look, D.D. Westbrook is nice and everything, and he's got plenty of talent in his own right. He's got more talent overall than Allen Hurns. But, I mean, you threw out those numbers. And then, 2, is the fact that Allen Hurns, if he's playing, is going to push D.D. back to number 3. It's just going to be a snap count factor. It's going to be the fact that if you look at D.D. Westbrook, the yards per target and reception aren't as high as Hurns. So he's going to need more. And when you're in the number 3 and need more, it's kind of a compound issue there.
All right, well, I'm going to switch them then. I had one at 42, one at 46. I'll switch Hurns up to 42, drop Westbrook to 46. The Colts weirdly have been, like, shutting people down. It's odd.
Yeah, and now the Steelers are all of a sudden, they're the Colts.
Yeah.
Get the big plays against them.
All right, let's move to quarterbacks. At number 1, I have this guy, Tom Brady, TB12, as everyone who goes to Patriots games. Like, I had no idea whoever wore, like, TB12 gear. I just thought it was, like, a bunch of losers, but it's just everyone at Patriots games. It's nuts.
Really?
Yeah, so it is a collection of losers, but that's for another day. I have Jamison Cutler in the rankings, by the way. So I go Brady, Wentz, Wilson, Cousins, Goff, Rivers, Newton, Breeze, Mariota, Matt Ryan. Cam Newton's dealing with a thumb injury, but he gets the Saints. I know the Saints defense has been good, but I just expect this game to shoot out, and I don't see Carolina actually running the ball unless they're running with Cam Newton.
That's certainly fair. I don't have a problem with it. The only one I actually have a problem with here is I can't do them. For everybody that's looking, I put Mariota face down. He's done. I can't deal with him anymore. Mariota, I can't rank inside the top 10. Not even a QB1 anymore.
This is the first time I've ranked him in the top 10 in ages. I feel like
I know the matchup is there, but he looks miserable. He's regressed in every facet of the game, and he's not. The thing that you want to talk about, the game that you watched, I was watching, so I have 2 TVs, sometimes 3 down here. One's always on Red Zone, one's usually on the Giants game. The Giants played on Thanksgiving. So I was watching the Titans and the Colts because I had a lot of people invested in that. I was big on Corey Davis. I was like, this is the week for him to break out because no Rashard Matthews. First of all, Mariota did not look at Corey Davis until he was like this third option. He was looking at Decker. He was looking at Delaney Walker. He was pissing me the hell off. And he's not looking downfield. He looks scared. He looks tentative. He's making bad throws. He looks worse than he did as a rookie. I do not know what's wrong with Mariota.
Okay, but here's the thing, though. He still has the rushing potential, which is always really nice. And look at the quarterbacks right behind him. Like, would you play Mariota or Ryan?
Ryan, not even a question.
Mariota or Josh McCown?
Josh McCown is almost as good as numbers as Tom Brady.
Okay. That's probably not fair.
It's true.
Not fantasy-wise.
Yeah.
No, what are they separated by in total points this season?
I'm going to go look right now. I'll pull it up while we're doing this show. So let's see. Tom Brady, 25 per game. Josh McCown, 20. Okay, so they're 5 points per game. That's
a lot. I mean, Brady's the bad example because he's been significantly better than everyone.
No, but hold on, because somebody tweeted it. Then I got to check. It might be search. Oh, it's probably since week 5.
Oh, okay.
That's probably what it is.
And it's a good matchup for Josh McCown. So would you go Case Keenum or Marcus Mariota?
I'm going Case Keenum.
Would you go Marcus Mariota or Tyrod Taylor?
Tyrod against New England. That's a good matchup to exploit, but it's New England who also, that sometimes doesn't matter. I would actually, that's probably my cutoff point. I could go either way on that one.
All right, I will drop Mariota down to number 12 in between Case Keenum and Tyrod Taylor. And if he goes off, the blood, it's on your hands, Jake. You talked me into this.
I have no problem with that. Honestly, if Derek Carr had Crabtree and Cooper, I would have played Derek Carr over him too.
What about on the road Ben Roethlisberger? Because I know I have Roethlisberger ranked at number 15, and I just know, I can see it because I just released the rankings. I haven't looked at Twitter or anything like that. I just know I'm going to get a bunch of just hate right away. Big Ben fans come out in droves because when you're invested in Ben Roethlisberger, you want him to be good every week. And he's not good every week. He's good like 3 times a year. But coming off and being like, didn't you just see him play on Sunday night? It was so good. And then he'll be garbage this week on Monday night.
I didn't know that Ben Roethlisberger fans sounded like that.
Everyone on Twitter sounds like that to me.
Okay. Well, that's fair. But yes, no. All you had to say was the first 3 words, and then I said no. You didn't even have to finish the sentence. You said Ben Roethlisberger, and the first 3 words after that were on the road, and that was it. You're done.
Jimmy Garoppolo, if he plays, or Brett Hundley at home against Tampa. I think I would go with the skill of Garoppolo.
I'm going Hundley for the rushing just because I know the problem. Look, I like Garoppolo and I like the potential there, but look at his weapons. He's got Hyde, Goodwin, and then the end.
Trent Taylor. Excuse me. How dare you disrespect Trent Taylor?
Come on.
Louis Murphy.
Oh yeah, who actually got the touchdown from him?
Yeah.
Who actually, by the way, Garoppolo outscored Dak Prescott in his whole 2-for-2 throwing.
That's amazing. I have Dak at 20. Can you play Dak?
I don't think you can. I actually would even have him lower. That's not just to be spiteful about it. I didn't want to rank him in near my top 12 last week, and I said, you know what, rushing, he might still be able to get near there because if he gets 20, 30 yards, and all that. But the guy didn't even attempt 1 rush. So if you're going to add in that factor to it, and now I just heard today that they possibly have Lael Collins moving over and starting, they're shifting somebody off. Somebody's off the line this week. That's even with the way that the Redskins have been getting after the quarterback. I don't see how you start Dak Prescott.
Yeah, Zach Martin's dealing with a concussion right now. He's probably not going to play, so that's rough. I mean, I wouldn't play him, but I mean, I'd still play him over Eli because Eli sucks too.
I would play Eli over him if Shepard's playing.
Nah, I wouldn't even. I would still I'd gamble on I would gamble on the upside that Dak takes off. I mean, he did score a rushing touchdown last week. It just didn't count. And it was a great play. Yeah. It faked out the cameraman.
It did. I would play Alex Smith over him despite how poorly I'd play Trevor Siemian over him.
Oh my God, no. Well, let's calm down, Jake.
Dude, look, Trevor Siemian at the beginning of the year, we were all talking about he was an interesting streamer.
Yeah. He was an interesting streamer. It's week 13 now. No thanks. I'm going down with the Dak ship before I'm turned to... Listen, there are
Miami's defense.
There are enough decent streaming options this week, whether it is McCown's only owned in like 20% of leagues or something stupid.
Let's do it right now. We'll do it right now. We'll do Siemian versus Dak Prescott. We'll put a loogie on it or whatever it's called.
You say a loogie?
Yeah, what's that coin called? Looney.
A looney, we'll yeah. Looney on it. I'm going to say, I mean, if you want to like spit in my mouth, Jake, and that turns you on, you just have to tell me.
No, we'll put a loony on it.
Good deal. I'll take Dak Prescott. You can have, who'd you want? Siemian?
Yeah.
Go nuts. He's all yours. And if I win, I'll hock a loogie in your face. Let's move to tight ends. Gronk comes in at number 1. Oh, I do not have Jordan Reed or Kobe Fleener listed in the rankings. Fleener has a concussion. Tell the truth. And then you have Jordan Reed, who's he has not practiced Monday or Tuesday, so he's probably not going to play on Thursday. Yeah, they're playing Thursday, right? Dallas Thursday, Washington. Yep. That's a Thursday. I do have Greg Olsen in. So
hold on, we gotta go back to quarterbacks.
Why?
Eli Manning is benched for week 13.
What?
Yes. They're going to Geno Smith.
Geno?
They're not even going to Davis Webb. What the hell is going on with this team?
All right, well, I mean, would you rather play Dak Prescott or Geno Smith?
Dak Prescott.
Hey, Geno's had one really good game in Oakland before.
There's no way on hell. Did he piss off? Did he skip practice or something? Is this another Jenkins thing? Like this? Wow, the Giants. This is laughable.
Hey, they're your team, man.
I know. I feel like just drawing a big Joker smile on Bavaro's jersey back there.
All right, well, let's try to reverse engineer this. If Sterling Shepard plays, but now he has Geno Smith, I mean, it's not like Eli's been lighting the world on fire. Like, is it really that big of a drop-off?
No, actually, look at Eli's numbers in games this year. He hasn't been the problem.
Jake. Eli's fantastic. He's great.
Before last week, because I had brought it up as the sleeper the week before, he had 19 fantasy points or more in 5 out of the last 7 games before last week. He's been productive before Sterling Shepard went out. It was when he was down to nobody, just Evan Ingram is when he's starting to really fall apart. So I'm not faulting Eli Manning too much for what the hell's going wrong with this team.
Do you think that Geno Smith has more of a rapport like with Traveris King and Roger Lewis because they were second stringers to start the year?
We could always make that argument. That's the whole argument with Blaine Gabbert and Ricky Seals-Jones because they're on the practice squad, and that's the rapport people build. But we don't know who he was practicing with because a couple of them got pulled up with the injuries to Marshall and Odell Beckham. So maybe it's Roger Lewis, maybe it's King, heck, maybe it's Travis Rudolph. That was on the practice squad, but Geno Smith wasn't on the practice squad, so it's tough to say, really.
So I have Sterling Shepard at number 16 in the rankings.
You gotta drop him.
How far do I drop him down, though? Like, with Geno Smith at quarterback, would you go Sterling Shepard or Ted Ginn, who I have at 23?
I would actually, that's right where I was going to say between Crowder and Diggs. I'm definitely playing Crowder over him.
But you're definitely not, So you would definitely play Crowder over Sterling Shepard. You wouldn't definitely play Diggs over Sterling Shepard with Geno Smith?
No, that's the one where I would start to debate in my mind. That's one I would have to dig into the matchups and who they're going to be facing and look a little bit deeper. But basically that range, that Diggs, Ginn, Doxton kind of conversation is kind of where I think he'd be in that grouping.
All right, I'm going to drop him to number 22. I'm going to move him behind Stefan Diggs and keep him ahead of Ted Ginn, at least for the moment. Maybe I'll change it later in the week, but that's where my initial thoughts rest. So now that we're moved to tight ends, what does that do to Evan Ingram?
He has to drop too, but you can't drop him too much either. He's 100% solely dependent on Sterling Shepard. If Sterling Shepard's playing, Evan Ingram's top 10. I don't care who the quarterback is. If Sterling Shepard's out, Evan Ingram's benchable. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is.
All right, Evan Ingram or Jack Doyle?
PPR, Jack Doyle.
Evan Ingram or Hunter Henry in the best matchup of the week?
I really like Henry this week, which probably means he's going to go 1 for 10.
Yeah, and Gates will score 3 touchdowns?
Exactly. Yeah, Gates hasn't done anything. And, of course, yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. But for kidding aside, I would go Hunter Henry.
All right, would you go Kyle Rudolph or Evan Ingram?
Ooh, Kyle Rudolph against Atlanta. Actually, Atlanta's been pretty decent against tight ends this year. At a PPR, I'd probably go Evan. No.
I like Evan Ingram and his upside more than I like Kyle. I know Kyle Rudolph's coming off a great game, but I love Thielen, as you can see by my rankings. And listen, Kyle Rudolph, he still only had 4 catches. I know 2 of them were touchdowns, but that's not gonna. What if he doesn't end up with 62 yards? What if it's like 4 for 40? Like Evan Ingram can do that.
Yeah, he could definitely do that. I think again, if Shepard's playing, I'll play him over Kyle Rudolph.
All right. Full tight end rankings, we just kind of went through most of them there. Gronk, Kelsey, Ertz, Graham, Walker, Doyle, Henry, Ingram now after the quarterback change. Kyle Rudolph, hey, Vern! Davis coming in at number 10, coming off the big goose egg on Thursday. Still don't mind him, though. And then it's Charles Clay, Eric Ebron, and then your main man, Ricky Seals and Croft.
Look, you have to acknowledge at some point the chemistry that he has with Blaine Gabbert.
I have him at number 13.
No, not you. I meant people in general, like you people.
You people?
Yeah,
Us,
yeah.
The non-Seals and Croft lovers?
Yes, exactly. The fact, no, are you not a Rick and Morty guy?
No, I'm not, weirdly enough.
You got to start watching Rick and Morty. I was going to say it's Pickle Ricky.
Don't tell me what to do with my life, Jake.
Pickle Ricky Seals-Jones, that's what it is. You need to, trust me, start watching it. Do it.
You're starting to sound like Garion.
What, is he trying to tell you to watch it too? He's a smart man.
Yeah, that's all he does. It's like the number one thing he talks about whenever I see him.
You need to watch that show. You could hear it. Look, I even have people coming to my door coming to tell you to go watch that show.
So I have him at number 13. He's a fringy tight end 1. That's where I'm going to have him.
Yeah, that's a very fair spot. He's basically come on, and his only significant snap counts have been with Blaine Gabbert. There's a report there. The only concern you have about him is, I think, what he had 26 snaps last week. That you just want to see the snap count go up.
Sure, but it went up from the week before, and so did the receptions, yardage, and targets. The only thing that went down were the touchdowns.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he gets back on track this week.
So 13 for him. ASJ at number 14. Hopefully he makes a catch this week. Ben Watson actually has a really nice matchup against Detroit. They're very poor against the tight ends. Julius Thomas, good matchup against Denver. Tyler Kroft, Greg Olsen. Like, until he starts playing a full snap count, you can't start him because he might do what he did last week. CJ Fedorowicz, Jason Witten. Anyone else you want to highlight tight end?
Not really. Cameron Brate, I don't even know if he's worthy of being that high. Ryan Fitzpatrick hates him. Hates his guts.
It's a Harvard connection. He doesn't like other Harvard guys.
He doesn't. You're not. I'm the smartest man in the NFL, not you.
All right, let's close this out with defenses right now. Number 1, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're taking on the Colts, who just allowed Jacoby Brissett to be sacked 8 times by the Titans, who have no pass rush. That's not going to turn out well for Jacoby Brissett. The Chargers, number 2, Rams, Steelers, Ravens. Bears against Garoppolo. Just the Bears pass rush is really good. I think they can kind of rattle them a little bit. The Redskins on Thursday night, Tennessee, New Orleans, and Denver. Then Philly and Seattle, the Chiefs, the Lions, the Bucks, the Vikings, the Packers. Who cares? Are there any like 2 or 3 defenses you really like?
I pretty much have a very similar ranking to you. The only one that I have a little bit higher is I do like the Broncos in the reverse revenge game for Jay Cutler.
Oh, yeah, that was so long ago, though. He's not like Josh McCown, where he's just allowed to have a revenge game every single week. Maybe that's why he's having such a good year.
That is what. But here, look, it's Jay Cutler. We've already seen it this year. He could throw 3 picks before the first quarter is over against this Broncos secondary.
I have Denver at number 10.
I just said I have them a little bit higher.
Like how much higher?
I have them ahead of the. I have them at 7.
I don't know, man. I feel like anyone playing Tom Savage should be higher.
It's the Titans defense, though. What do they have? The problem is that look at what the Tom Savage just did against the Baltimore Ravens defense. He had a pretty capable game.
He had like 2 drives where he looked okay.
And where were there's not a ton of turnovers.
No, but the big thing with Tom Savage, the one out he gets is he gets to throw to DeAndre Hopkins, and DeAndre Hopkins will do all the scoring. Anything outside that, I feel like, is all upside for that defense.
It is, but I'm kind of worried. Like I said, they're kind of playing game management with Tom Savage. It's just I expect more turnovers from Cutler than Savage at this point.
Maybe, but the one thing that I found sort of surprising was the Texans were able to run the ball relatively effective against Baltimore, which I found somewhat surprising. The Titans' run defense is actually pretty good.
That's fair. That is true. Oh, you know what else? By the way, to go back off to the Eli thing, that just ended his consecutive game starting streak.
Oh, wow. So now it's the Riv. The Riv is making a charge.
He's never missed a start. His first missed start isn't even injury related. How crazy is that?
I mean, at this point, it's not super surprising.
It is. I didn't think a team could be this stupid.
You know what they should do?
What?
Cut him and see if the Jags claim him.
Just to help him out? Is it like collusion in your fantasy league where like the 10th place team cuts somebody?
Yeah, I mean, listen, they don't want to pay all the salary. The Jags could use a quarterback.
Yeah, they should have traded him to that was what I wanted them to do. I wanted them to trade him to the Jaguars at the deadline to begin with.
It's too much salary. No one wants to inherit bad Eli's like $22 million a year. Plus, he's still.
So we have Coach McAdoo. Eli and I talked about it yesterday. We talked about it again this morning. He will not be inactive. He will be the number 2 quarterback.
Oh, also news. Darren McFadden retired. Thanks, Darren. Established on my bench all fucking season, you loser.
Wait. That's the funniest thing to me in sports. Can you really retire if you were cut and have nobody that wants you to play for them?
He was making over $1 million a year. What was the point of having him on the team?
I don't know, but again, that's like really. It's like somebody you get fired from a job and be like, "No, I quit." Like you can't.
Yeah, it was like
you've already been trumped by the other thing.
It's like when Kramer got fired from that job he didn't actually have. Yeah. I don't even work here. That's what makes this so hard. All right, that'll do it. Any final thoughts on the week?
No. Try to enjoy it. Try to make your playoffs. Have fun.
Good luck, everyone. You can follow Jake on Twitter at AllInKid. Check out all of his work up on RotoExperts.com, including his rankings. And do you do a video Sunday mornings now for like the updates?
Yeah, well, I do. We do Jake versus the world and some other rankings, fun stuff like Nando puts together. I'm always on 11 to 12.
Oh, you're on
11 to 12 now too, aren't you?
Oh, I've been on 11 to 12 every single week this year on the Draftkings Facebook page. So don't watch Jake. Watch me instead.
Or get 2 monitors.
Although, in fairness, I'm skipping this week. I have some family stuff I have to go do Saturday night, and I'm not going to be in any condition to be able to do a live broadcast at 11 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. I mean,
Fair enough.
I was in rough enough shape last week, and people could see it. This week, even worse. Anyway, pimp the rankings, pimp the show, pimp everything.
Yeah, at AllInKid. RotoExperts.com is where the rankings are. Check the link. I got to wear that T-shirt next week. It's coming. I forgot to wear it this week. It's already out there. You want to buy one, let me know. And then, of course, the show, 4 to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. Yay! On target. There you go. I pimped everything.
I'm Pat Mayo. You can follow me at the PME on Twitter. You can follow the Pat Mayo Experience on iTunes, Stitcher, Podomatic, Audio Boom, and Google Play for the audio versions, and up on the Draftkings YouTube page for the video version. Find some exclusive clips of me and Jake up on Facebook.com/ThePME. Thanks for watching, everyone. Good luck in Week 13. The rankings are up on DKPlaybook.com, updated all the way up until kickoff. Don't forget that. I'll see you next time.